Everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So you may have heard that Alfonso Cuaron has a new movie out called Roma, which is due to stream on Netflix in the UK from the 14th of December. And I was lucky enough to see this film on the big screen a couple of months ago at the London Film Festival, and it is a really, really luminous and beautiful piece of work that I really want to talk to you about. So a little bit of background. Alfonso Cuaron, the Mexican filmmaker, incredibly versatile filmmaker, probably best known for Gravity, for which he won the Oscar, the outer space thriller with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. My kind of love for his films goes way, way back to the mid 90s to A Little Princess, which was a film I remember owning on VHS. Remember them? Little Princess. And then he subsequently sort of vacillated between films set in his native Mexico, like Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is an incredibly erotic, racy, like sensual, like road trip movie, and bigger budget movies like Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban, which is widely regarded as one of, if not the best Harry Potter films. Certainly, it was the one that showed what kind of critical and artistic credentials were possible within that series after Chris Columbus started it off. He also made the brilliant dystopian drama Children of Men starring Clive Owen, which is, I think, widely regarded as probably one of the most underrated films of the last 20 years. Certainly it wasn't treated very well by the studio at the time, but it's gathered a real kind of status over the years. And now Cuarón is back with what is probably his most personal movie so far, which is interesting because he puts a massive amount of personal feeling into all of his movies. Even though he jumps between genres and styles, he is a director who leaves a very, very strong imprint on every single genre within that he works in. Now we have this absolutely beautiful black and white autobiographical drama set in Mexico City in 1970s. It's a very, very specific time and place. This is an era of social upheaval, social change, with riots going on in the background that then violently spill over into the foreground at one point in a very shocking sequence. But centrally, the drama focuses on Cleo, who is a maid working in the house of a sort of upper middle class family who have children. The husband is away on business a lot. He is a doctor. There appeared to be there's some kind of strife going on between the husband and wife, and Cleo often becomes the surrogate mother to the children. And what happens is that you basically get an almost picaresque, almost freewheeling drama unfolding from her point of view, and the film makes a lot of very, very interesting observations from the fact that Cleo hails from a very different background to the family themselves. She comes from the rural side of Mexico, and she is of a different social class than the family themselves. And this becomes apparent at the start of the movie, which has got subtitles in different variants of Mexican language. And the boy at one point says to her, "Why are you speaking in that dialect?" So there are different dialects going on throughout the movie, and this is one of the ways in which it touches on the social themes and the themes of class and of gender as well. And Cleo is contemplating her own future. What future does she have with this family? What impact is she having on the children? What impact are the husband and wife having on each other? And it also goes through Cleo's own sort of trials and tribulations involving men and pregnancy and various other things. And it's not really a movie that's delineated necessarily by plot. It's not really a movie delineated by event, although, as I've said, there are plenty of moments in the movie, but it's got almost and it's aided by the black and white cinematography that almost makes it akin to a memory or a dream. I reviewed the Peter Jackson World War One documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old, on this channel. I said that often feels like a dream, and this does as well. And when you've got that nostalgic black and white cinematography combined with this sort of very gentle unfolding narrative that doesn't ever flag anything up explicitly for the viewer, it's like you are looking back into the past, into Alfonso Cuarón's past, because he has said he has based this a lot on his own memories. And what you get is a really beautiful film, possessed of very, very deep feeling, in which you get things will happen, but the movie will kind of drift in a dreamy way, and it'll sort of drift over towards something, even if that something is quite shocking and occasionally violent. And there are moments of real emotional upheaval in the movie, but the movie observes them in a very, very calm, almost kind of detached kind of way. If you think of I suppose the thing that this bears closest resemblance to is Y Tu Mama Tambien, particularly with that detached voiceover in that movie, which gave this kind of omniscient, all-knowing structure to it. You don't have the narration in Roma, but what you do have is that sense of very placid camera work that just almost gives you this kind of God's eye view, sort of drifting in and out of the Mexico City streets, drifting in and out of the house, observing the characters. One of the recurrent images is of the driveway of the house being constantly washed and cleaned of dog poo, and that sounds like a sort of quite a crass thing, but unbelievably it doesn't actually come across as crass in the movie. It just comes across as a cycle. It comes across as one of the images of the movie. This is what happens, and the movie begins with a shot of a puddle with an aeroplane flying across the sky reflected in it, and you get this lovely kind of beautiful visual aesthetic of this puddle, which is then sort of sloshed away, and then you realise that what you're looking at isn't actually a lake or a river or anything like that. It's actually a driveway with a puddle in it, and then more water comes and sort of washes away. And there's that lovely kind of understated observational quality to the cinematography. Incidentally, Alfonso Cuaron did serve as his own cinematographer on this movie. Normally he works with Emmanuel Lubetsky, who is one of the greatest in the business, but clearly this is a very personally charged project, and Cuaron wanted more visual control over it, one assumes. And it's a really, really lovely film. I think it's really well acted. It's not a demonstrative film. It doesn't come at the viewer with an explicit message as to what it's about. Again, it's quite mysterious is the word. It's quite mysterious. It's quite enigmatic. I thought it was really, really beautiful, and I can easily see it clinching an Oscar nomination for Best Foreign Language Film, if not the Oscar itself. I mean, we'll wait and see if any other films come up in that particular category. Of course, the distribution of the movie itself is a very, very contentious one, because, as I said, it's going out on Netflix globally. Netflix have also secured that very controversial deal with Curzon Cinemas here in the UK, which I touched on in the other blog on my channel. If you haven't watched that, please do go and see it and let me know what you think. But basically, Netflix have got a deal to show Roma, as they've done with the new Coen Brothers movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, in Curzon Cinemas. But that's not as generous as it sounds, because Curzon Cinemas really only are based in London. So if you're outside of London, you are basically going to be compelled to watch this movie on the big screen. This is a real shame, and this is where I'm very, very lucky to have watched Roma on the big screen, because it's not just the visual capabilities of it, it's the sound. The sound design, as with all of Alfonso Cuaron's movies, is so important. The sound of the jet plane at the beginning, and indeed other planes coursing across the sky throughout, is so important. There's this all-encompassing soundscape which is really quite beautiful, and I'm just worried that and the visuals are going to be lost on the small screen. I mean, providing people are going to watch it on a small screen. If you've got a massively lavish home cinema set up with the bright speakers and the right equipment, brilliant. That's going to do justice to the movie. But again, this is quite a controversial area, and in a way, it's a shame to see a filmmaker of Alfonso Cuaron's stature not getting the cinematic distribution that he deserves. Although, as I said, with The Ballad of Buster Scruggs and various other films, if Roma stands a chance of reaching a wider audience via the medium of Netflix, brilliant. I think that's really, really great. People who wouldn't ordinarily have been compelled to go and see it might be compelled to go and see it by virtue of it being piped into their homes. Who knows? Let me know what you think. As I said, the film is out in the UK on Netflix on the 14th of December. It's called Roma. It's directed by Alfonso Cuaron. It's really something. And let me know what you think of the film when you've seen it. See you soon.